Hi, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick. And it's been a long time since we've been in the same room together. This feels good.
We're doing what we did when we first started.
Yes.
We started this podcast 2021? 2022. After I lost the election.
Is that our first episode?
Yes, because the election was in May. And I initially said I was going to take some time off.
Right.
But we had our first episode, June 2022.
Look, because I'm about to go fact check my friend.
Yeah, go fact check it.
My friend. Let's see.
You think I'm a lie? Look,
we don't do that, right? But we fact check. But yeah, has it been that long?
It has.
It
has. So we're coming up on 3 years. We're coming up on 3 years.
3 years.
And I used to number the episodes.
Correct.
So I don't know how many episodes we have, but we've got a lot. And we've done where we've had panels, we've had interviews,
youth,
we've
father, finance,
politics. We've spoken to a county commissioner, state legislators, who else? Mayors or mayoral candidates.
Years ago.
Yes.
Fact checking. I'm still fact checking y'all for the first podcast.
I'm telling you, it was June.
It was 2 years ago, June 2020.
So we're coming up on 3 years.
Wow. And check that podcast out.
So she couldn't take my word for it, though. Right. She couldn't take my word for it.
And I was there, right?
We first started out. Our very first episode was in my the room I call my mama's room, because it was a room that I had done over in anticipation of her coming to live with me, and she passed before that could happen. So I still call it Mama's room.
Yes.
And pictures of her and everything in there. But that's where our first episode was shot. And then we moved to
restaurants.
Oh yeah, we did. We started going to restaurants.
We were going because we believe in small businesses, and we wanted to make sure that we highlighted a lot of the small businesses. Yes. So we always had like restaurant food. We would order from the restaurant, give the owner a couple of minutes to talk about who they are, what they serve, why y'all should come to their restaurant, and all that good stuff. And we bought food. We bought food for our guests, and that was fun.
We never asked anyone to comp us anything.
Nope.
So,
and it wasn't us trying to get freebies or anything. It really was us trying to help promote
small businesses
in the community.
Yeah.
And get to taste good food. And people did have vegan options, because y'all know my girl is vegan.
Yeah, that was yeah.
And then we went to your office.
Yes, and then we recorded in my office in the conference room for a while. And then someone needed to be virtual because they couldn't make it. And then we got on StreamYard. And I don't think, have we done an in-person interview since? Except when we did with the kids.
Right. When we had
school. Was the high school?
No. We did the 2 high schools in person it was a Black-owned business that we were in their loft area, whatnot, and that was a really good episode, because y'all should check that out. It was based on when the schools in Gwinnett County was having a lot of issues when they rolled out the discipline, and I know y'all know that that's back up in the mainstream hot topics for them releasing or cutting the contract for the superintendent right now. Yeah, so anybody who knows how to get in contact with the superintendent or school board, we would love to talk about
Calvin Watts. Dr. Watts.
Dr. Watts.
I'm not going to disrespect you. Dr. Watts.
Dr. Watts. He earned
Call us, because we want to talk to you. We want to know. Because I was shocked when it was coming up on the agenda that they wanted to review your contract. Because it's somebody who I think I'm somebody who has her ear to the ground as far as Gwinnett County. I was taken aback that was coming up, and that it came up so quickly that folks were on the board were looking to terminate his contract, and parent groups or community, I'll say that community groups were not in support of that. They were like, they wanted to know, okay, tell us what he's done.
And do we know what he did?
I still haven't. I was wondering. I haven't heard. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard. And there could be valid reasons.
But is it public though?
I know they went into executive session.
Oh, because I, social media, right? You know, like you said, we connected. We're 10 toes down, and people started hitting me up. Like, you see this notice that was on the social media, like on a Friday or a Saturday, that Monday was going to, but Monday it was going to be a public hearing or whatnot, or whatever the proper term is. And then that was it. So, like, how do you get a notice so late for something that was going to happen Monday? I don't know. So I as a taxpayer and stuff, would love to know a little bit more how that goes. But yeah, Dr. Watts, hit us up. conversations@karenandkat@gmail.com.
Because we want to know.
We want to know.
We want to know.
We want to help the taxpayers know too.
Yeah.
Yes. So
some things that happened this week.
Yep.
The 60th anniversary of the march from Selma to Montgomery. So Montgomery, Alabama, marks the 60th anniversary of the historic voting rights march from Selma, which, as we've all seen the iconic photos of Martin Luther King walking arm in arm with his lovely bride.
Yep.
And my frat brother, who passed. Oh my goodness.
John Lewis. John Lewis. I know, right?
Brain fart.
I'm so sorry, right. John Lewis. I just started voting.
As a young man. And several other big names.
Huge civil rights movement.
In the civil rights movement. And also actors and actresses and folks who wanted to say this isn't right. They were also at that famous march on Washington. The Selma Bridge. And that was a pivotal event that led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act. And right now we're at a time when this current administration, what was I looking for?
Yeah. Go ahead.
But this current administration is rolling back via executive orders some of the protections that we've had now for decades.
My lifetime.
Decades. And I say be not dismayed. I say be not dismayed. That doesn't mean don't do anything.
Right.
Work with your local delegations. Work on the county level, work on your state level to make the changes that you can make on a state and county, on your state and county level, municipal level. And in 26, there is a midterm election.
Right.
People, you have discontent right now.
Yeah.
You need to be in the polls in 26, and you need to be knocking on your neighbors' doors.
That's right.
Are you registered to vote? Are you going out to vote? Because we need to get these people out of Congress who are doing nothing. Which leads me, sorry.
But wait, don't jump away.
Go ahead.
Don't jump away from Selma.
Go ahead.
So Selma, if anyone wants to go or know anything, there is a group of a Black organization called girlstrek.org. They're actually going to go to Selma and do a mile there. So go to girlstrek.org. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Selma, they're going to do the last mile. Girlstrek.org.
Okay,
So if anyone wants to get involved with that, and if you've never gone, check it out and go with a group of people that's going to, walk like our ancestors did. during that time. And so check them out.
Girl Trek is GIRLTREK .com
.org. Please, yeah. So check that out. So hop on to it. What was you about to say before I cut you off?
You would say that when I put.
When I can add on. Look, I can add on this. When my girls say, make sure y'all stay involved. Give it a chance to try. Wow. Okay. So there was another thing too. When we did this before our very first episode, we had food. So it's so funny because we're still drinking the same blueberry tea.
Butterfly lemon.
Mm-hmm. And it is made by, we got to pull that up so we can always drop.
Me Plus Tea. She's out of Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Great.
But look her up. Yep. Me Plus Tea. She grows her own herbs. She grows her own herbs for the tea.
Mm-hmm.
She calls it an apothecary. So she feeds her teas.
SAT word?
Medicinal. Apothecary means medicinal.
Okay, I ain't trying to be fake. Y'all know y'all already know.
It's Me Plus Tea, MEPLUSTEA.com. MePlusTea.com. And she's also on Facebook. Mm-hmm. But you can order the tea, even if you're local to the Metro Atlanta area. She's I know she does like some local markets where because that's where I met her, at a local market, farmers market. She was there selling her teas, and that was in 21. And I've been ordering teas from her ever since.
Turn me on to them. They are so delicious. And by the way, we don't get a plug for any of this.
None whatsoever.
We're talking about stuff that we use.
Share stuff that I love. So Me Plus Tea, check her out. Love her. We've had her on the show before when we did our cream of the crop for Christmas.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love her teas, and I order her teas all the time.
And check out that episode so y'all can get a rundown of all the other things we love. But this is just one of many things that we love. Yeah. So go ahead and plug in what you were saying.
So girl, I forgot.
Wait. We were talking about, Lord, see, this is what real TV does. Well, tell them about this food that I'm eating on, right? Because we always have like tapas, snacks, fruit, oranges, because we always wanted our show to be so organic
and be conversational. And so what do people do? And so what do people do when they're with their friends? Is you eat, you have some tea, or you have beverages of whatever kind, And so that's where Conversations with Karen and Kat came from, is our very real friendship and us spending time together and having really great conversations. So we're inviting you in on our conversation. That's what Conversations with Karen and Kat is about. But so today, because I love to feed Kat, that's my love language. So
and y'all know me. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know
when she comes to my house, I love to have something for her to eat because that is definitely my love language.
As my friends be like, she's so greedy. Greedy.
No, that is my love language. So today I made some rice paper rolls that have spinach, radicchio, endive, some tofu, some carrots. That was a pepper, a green pepper, and carrot, and what else?
It's good, y'all.
Yeah. And so I did that in a rice paper wrap. Then I fried them lightly in a pan, and not a lot of oil, just a little bit, just to get it a little crunch. And that was what we're having. And we're having fruit and some butterfly lemonade tea, lemon tea, butterfly lemon, not lemonade, butterfly lemon tea,
and it's all delicious.
And so anyway, the this is a loose leaf tea, by the way, and so there's nothing added to it. So the ingredients are all 100% natural. There are no additives.
That's so important because people don't realize people always think, tea is good for you.
Yeah.
But if it's not prepared properly for shipping and storage, then you're getting all of the bad. I don't want to say you can still drink pop, but I mean, if you're having all these other additives added to it, how healthy is it really? So it's good that you made that point because that's very important to know that. So, all right.
So other things going on this week. because I forgot what my initial train of thought was.
Oops, I put this on here. What about what's the judge's name who said to the current administration that I forgot what he said. Lord Jesus. So he's the same judge. What is his name? What am I phone?
Robert.
The same Superior Court judge. Let's not be
Supreme.
He's a Supreme Court judge. That's what you ran for, Superior Court. Supreme Court judge who said that he agreed to the current administrations to have anonymity. What is it? Immunity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed, y'all. I'm not ashamed at all. You know what I meant. Immunity. And now he said that same person who you've given immunity to do whatever you want to do,
that there's some limits.
That there are some limits.
There's some limits. So this current administration,
I know it's hard for us to say it. Okay, let's
forget that there are checks and balances, and those checks and balances are that we have an executive, legislative, and a judicial branch. All three co-equal branches of government.
Right.
And so one doesn't have more power than the other. But this current administration in the White House and his appointees are operating as if the executive branch can do whatever it wants to. Even so, over judicial orders that have said to the contrary. So we're gonna see. I think we may be on the verge of a constitutional crisis because this president believes that he can do anything. And he's already been told by the Supreme Court that whatever he does in office, he can't be held
accountable.
He can't be.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Criminally liable. He can't be criminally liable.
And so you have an individual who agreed upon that, who signed that and said, yes, you have in my opinion, free reign. A person with the felony, like I heard somebody say, I think it was D.L. Hughes, you're the person who has the felony, but I'm doing the time. So it's amazing to me how how can he be wrong if all the people around him are giving him the authority, the permission to do what he is doing? For example, Department of Education. He put on this theatrical with students around young. They look elementary school. They were students. We all know that they were students, and they're all dressed with their white tops and navy bottoms. And they pull out when he pulls out his ink pen in the order. They pull out their paper and they're emulating.
They were props.
Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, we do want to teach our young people about conjunction, junction. We want to teach them about law, how laws are made, and all this other stuff. We want to educate them. But dude, you had students in the room while you're trying to sign away the Department of Education. You're trying to sign an executive order to dismantle,
to eliminate
the Department of Education with students in the room whom they're going to be directly impacted by this bill.
And so what a lot of folks don't understand, that the Department of Education does a lot of things. Namely, the Department of Education is over, if you have a student with disabilities, it's the Department of Education that's responsible for the compliance of that. 504 plans, IEPs.
Acronyms.
So an IEP is an individualized education plan. 504 is if your student has a disability. The school has to make accommodations for your student to learn.
And the Department of Education ensures that happens.
Yes. And also what people don't, or they may not care about, is that if you are a Title I school, Title I means that I forgot what the percentage is, but a certain percentage of your student population, of your, not just the student population, a certain portion of your not the enrollment, but a certain portion of the community lives below the poverty level, your school is considered a Title I school. And so because of that, they are then eligible for federal funds to implement certain programs. And some of those programs could be after school programs. They could be enrichment programs. Because zip codes that are more affluent, those schools will have booster clubs and things like that, and they'll have higher taxes.
Well, I was about to say that. So the taxes go to school. So if you're in a more affluent area, you have higher taxes.
Yes. Okay. So those schools can afford to have things like computer labs that are very advanced. Kids are, they can also have more resources. They have more resources for students than students that are living
up to date, more quality books, more quality tech
than students who are in lower income communities. And so for those who are thinking that lower income means, it's a Black or brown neighborhood, not necessarily so, because there are Title I schools in rural areas.
It sure is.
So if you live somewhere in rural Georgia, rural Tennessee, rural Alabama.
Don't name a city, because I don't want nobody coming here for y'all talking about we name somebody said right. You know what rural is.
Then your school could be a Title I school. And there are several rural areas. There are many rural areas that have Title I schools just because of the economics of how you qualify for Title I. So those federal funds could end up disappearing.
Right.
And so if those federal funds end up disappearing, the states who are already strapped, particularly red states, are already strapped. Your child may not get the resources that they need in order to be able to be competitive at school.
And let's just call it what it is, in my opinion. The haves want to continue to have and widen. Thank you, man. And widen the disparity gap. That's just my opinion, because it makes no sense. If we know that this is an organization, and most of the organizations, like we said, DEI, and I saw a clip of somebody about DEI. I don't know if it's DEI, but when you look at all of these organizations that are being dismantled, who is the direct group of people or people whom it will negatively impact? Black people. And it's beyond that too, because like you said, people in rural areas, it's if you are in the community, it's not just
Black people.
It is.
That's what folks want to think. That's what the majority want to think, that the dismantling is going to just hurt Black people and brown people.
Well, that's why people flipping stuff over, because they're not realizing it.
Yeah.
So that's what my point is. Okay. So everybody's under that guise, let's stick it, because when people vote, let's just be real.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we? I'm voting for this administration because they're going to immigration laws, taxes. And those taxes are going to make it easier for people who already have an enormous amount of money. No shade, you make your money, that's good. But Obama made it perfectly clear that Warren Buffett's secretary, who makes $20-some thousand a year, pays more money than Warren Buffett. And that was during his administration, that he pointed that out. So you have individuals that's making money on top of money on top of money, and have tax shelters where the average person like me and you, we don't get those same benefits. So when you have people who vote for something that they think, oh, I'm in agreement with this, this is going to make my life better. Now the wool is being pulled over, and now you got people burning up Teslas.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
There was a dude that had
we do not condone violence.
We do not. Please don't. We do not do
We do not condone violence.
Peaceful. Martin Luther King said it best. Peaceful. But it's something how all these people that's getting arrested, I shouldn't say all, the ones that I've seen are non-Black.
Listen.
But when we protest over Mr. Floyd,
Black people ain't out here trying to blow up no Teslas. They're not. They're not. They're not doing it.
Nope.
We may be passionate about what's going on. We are not blowing up Teslas. We are not going to the dealership.
So I understand a riot when Mr. Floyd was assassinated. I don't approve of violence. However, I understand the breaking point of seeing someone murdered, my opinion, murdered for all of us to see around the world. And you can't do anything. And those people took to the streets. I mean, they see
what did I tell you? MLK said riots are the voice of the unheard.
That's right. Period.
So,
but now you have people who are throwing, what you call them, cocktail bombs?
Molotov cocktails.
Okay. Throwing them at Tesla because what?
Because of Elon Musk.
Right. So I guess I'm trying to understand. You mad that the way that your election that you thought was going to happen isn't happening, and that you're burning down things. January 6th, you mad that the election didn't come out your way. Instead of having people protest, you kill. People died. A person I know for sure died and physically traumatized.
Police officers were injured.
Correct.
The Capitol Police
because you didn't get what you wanted,
and they got a pardon.
But then, and how many of us? 100,000 of them got all like. So then you have people who have been murdered. Now, I'm not talking about somebody took your candy from you or you didn't get your way.
Yeah.
I'm talking about lives have been lost, unjust, unarmed, people in their bed, and yet when we, go that route, we're savages. Look at them. The narrative is written in such a negative light for us.
Which is why I've been saying since January 20th, Black people, stay home.
You telling a lie. You've been saying that after the election in November. Shut up.
Stay home. Stay home. Stay home. If you're going somewhere, go to your local organizations that are organizing, that are doing the work.
Yeah.
And everything don't need to be on social media, but do the work. Do the work. Be active in your community.
Yeah.
Do the work. Get involved with the feeding program, with the local organization. Get involved with the mentoring program. Get involved with the youth organization. Do the work. Make the impact where you can feel it and you can see it. And then in 2026, when it's election time, take your ass to the polls.
Facts. And don't forget, it's an election this year. So remember, folks, please remember. Please, please, please remember. I know that there are thousands of people who are primary and general election voters. I understand that. But we sometimes forget local elections, the municipal races. And in this county, there is going to be a municipal race. And typically a municipal race is every 2 years. And so please check wherever you live. Go to your local voter and Secretary of State and find out if there is an election in your district. And please make sure that you participate. Make sure you are registered to vote. Make sure you do the research on your candidates and get involved, because there are local elections that we are overlooking. Because like my sister said, we have one in 2026, but and that's national. We also have local
Congress.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think Ossoff is on the chopping block. Yeah, because I see that. But so you have to start paying attention to what's happening very local in your area, because school, like we were just talking about, school board, that's local. Your street lights, it's local. Are you tired of seeing abandoned cars in your community? That's local. Are you tired of having your gas stations or local stores that they don't have proper lighting, so you don't feel safe going to your stores, or you enjoy walking and trying to get some fresh air, but it's too dark and you don't feel safe? That's local. So please get involved. Who hires your police chief? Your mayor. Who's your mayor? When is their election? So if you're not in a big city like Chicago, New York, or Detroit, or LA, like those mayoral races are huge.
Yeah.
But what about when you go to the smaller cities where you may have 20,000 or 10,000 people, you're not paying attention to that. And then when this Department of Education is dismantled, because it still has to go through Congress, just because he did that, it still has a whole process.
Well, the way they rubber stamped that budget, that's what I was going. That's what I was going to bring up.
See how God works.
That's what I was going to bring up.
That's right on time.
So we know that there were 10 senators, 10 Democratic senators.
Yeah, be specific. Yep.
10 Democratic senators who voted with the Republicans to pass this continuing resolution that has in it some harmful things to keep the government afloat. But
and the main one was
we need to remember those 10 come 2026 if any of them are on the ballot. 2026. Chuck Schumer was one of them. So, and I should have had all name of the 10, but I didn't pull it up. But we need to remember who they were because they are not serving democratic principles, right? And when I say Democrat, I mean Democrat with the big D, not small d Democratic. So as elected Democrats in Congress, I need them to push back on everything that this administration is doing, unless it's something that is in alignment with the Democratic agenda. And so going along with this continuing resolution, shame on you, to you dirty 10. That's what I'm calling the dirty 10. Because it does not serve us. And we elected you.
Yep. And you're not doing the work of the people.
No. You got the 10? You got the 10?
I'm on time.com. So it says ahead of the vote, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, and Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada were among the first Democrats to publicly back the Republican funding bill, arguing that a shutdown will only strengthen the current administration's hand. That's my little ad-lib. I don't like saying his name. They were joined by 6 more Democrats. Dick Durbin of Illinois, Brian Schatz of Hawaii, Gary Peters of Michigan, Haggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Kirsten Gillibrand of New York.
She's been sus for a while. John Fetterman is sus.
Yep.
He met with he met with old Tricky.
Tricky. Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire, Shaheen is her last name, of New Hampshire, as well as Angus King, a Maine independent who caucuses with Democrats.
He needs to stop caucusing with Democrats because he's not serving Democratic principles, and neither is Chuck Schumer. And I think I don't know, but I think when it's time for them to re-vote for Democratic leadership, Schumer needs to be out. He needs to be out.
Agreed.
Okay.
In addition to, if I may add to that, it's time to get rid of the same old guard.
Yes.
We have young blood who have worked their behinds off to get into Congress on the Senate and the House side. And yet the Democratic Party will not give them the opportunity to rally and get voters energized. They have the rights. When I say the rights,
they from Texas.
Now you know nobody's names.
Oh my goodness! But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
AOC, sister girl with a C. What's her name? That's always in the internet. Oh man, she's a sister girl.
Yeah.
So her. And then the young lady, I don't know anybody's name. I cannot think of their names right now. We're all just like, ugh. But the young, energetic
Jasmine Crockett.
It's another.
And shame on us for not remembering her name at the top of our head. Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, you are a hero, sis.
Come on our podcast and let's talk about it.
You are a hero.
All of y'all. Because like I said,
I admire her for speaking truth right there in the halls of Congress. Mm-hmm. And she will bring it every time and bring facts, yep, and speak directly to them and push back on things. I admire her for that.
And and I would like to say I admire her and AOC. They all yes. they do it. Like, and they have they're truly for the people. And I'm sick and tired for people being in positions of authority. Because this is what I believe. Yes. People in position of authority are going to align policies that will allow them to stay in power for generations. And even if it's not that particular person, which in this Congress, with 100 of some Congress, these people are 70, 80 years old. And I'm not saying anything about people with the particular age, because I love our wise people. They've been around the sun a lot longer than mine. We're not. What I am saying is specifically for people who are abusing their position of authority. And you align legislation and policy that will keep you in that position. And what happens is we are so busy trying to force ourselves into this world when we need to just sit down and get our own self together. Okay? People in power, like I said, people who hate us, I can't stop you from hating me. But you can't stop me from working and overcoming. And that's what we have to do as a people, as human beings, as humanity. Unfortunately, people with millions of dollars, and some people just addicted to power, may not even have a bunch of money, but they're in positions of authority, and they craft legislation and policy that continues to widen the haves and the have-not. Explain to me why fair voting is a problem. Explain to me why a person who wants to live and love who they want to love peacefully is a problem. Explain to me why a person trying to leave a place that is unsafe and come here for safety is a problem. Explain to me why a person who's trying to get health care is a problem, or education is a problem. Why would you take money from the HBCUs who've done nothing but educate Black people so that they can be better citizens in this world? And for somebody to work their behind off to even make it to a Harvard or Cornell or to, HU, you deserve what you have earned. Nobody gave you this job, DEI. You earned it. If a Black person, and the reason that we have it, and this is, I guess I get a little upset because I've heard this conversation with folks saying, well, DEI, you don't need that because you should be hired on your character. You should be hired on your ability and not your race.
Problem is, studies have shown that when people are in position of power, they hire people that they're comfortable with, and they're more comfortable with people that look like them.
And the reality of it is, if we didn't have what my girl just said, we wouldn't need a policy in place to force you to go and hire and have a bigger umbrella of candidates to hire your organization. When Mr. Floyd was assassinated, it showed so many corporations that had white men, and not even women, let alone white women, in leadership, in key positions. And so they then had to enforce and tell these companies, you need to diversify. Why is that a bad word to say diversify? Why is it a bad word to say equity? Why is it a bad word to say inclusion? Yeah, our civil rights fighter ancestors that we stand in their presence, not just on their shoulders, but we're in their presence everywhere we go. We're in the presence of greatness of people who did this before us. They fighted for inclusion. We're fighting for equity. Yeah, we want to be on the bus. I want to have an opportunity to own that bus. Stop always just thinking that, people will say, because my son is extremely tall and everything, oh, he must play sports. He's not here for your entertainment. He's into physics. So, but when you say that, really?
So, diversity, equity, and inclusion does not mean
we're gonna steal.
No, it doesn't mean, and take. It doesn't mean that you're hiring anyone who is unqualified. Because one, that we know that Black women are the most educated demographic. So it's not a matter about education and the qualifications. It's because I am a Black woman, I don't want you to discount my ability to do the job and not even give me an interview.
You won't give me an opportunity.
So that's what DEI was about. It was about opening the door.
That's what affirmative action was.
It was about opening the door so that someone would be given an opportunity to show that they can do the work and perform. And so diversity, equity, and inclusion also includes folks with disabilities, folks who are veterans. So when you get rid of DEI programs, you're getting rid of positions that have veterans preference. So that's going away. That would go away if DEI is allowed not to continue. And then even when inclusion includes folks who are not able-bodied,
right,
being able to come into work and have accommodations so that they can work.
A ramp.
And or if someone is braille,
that's
someone
that's what I was trying to think
blind.
You see me, I did this.
Being able to have braille on their keyboard. Like these are accommodations
on so the elevator, or tables for the ergonomics.
Yeah. It's things that you never even thought of. Yeah. Like going into right now because of DEI. One of the things that if someone is hearing impaired and they go to the hospital, hospitals are required to find a deaf interpreter, a hearing impaired interpreter, someone who signs, so that they can communicate with their medical staff.
And even to add to that, when you go to public places and they have to, when people do public speaking, they're supposed to have someone there
and do an interpretation.
But if you don't have all of that, then who's going to make sure that you have representation?
So that's what DEI is about. But another thing I want to talk about, because we
before we go to I do want to say, and parents who have family members who are on the spectrum, that's something for you too, because that's your child that needs those resources in school. So go ahead with the Department of Education.
That's part of the Department of Education that we were talking about earlier. So another thing that troubled me was I saw this week the footage of the Venezuelans who are being deported to, who are being flown to El Salvador. So as many of you may remember, a few years ago, the country of Venezuela pretty much just collapsed. And so people left for economic reasons, for safety, and they came to the U.S. And because the U.S. has always been a place where someone who is leaving their country because of fear of retribution, because of fear of economic policies,
of oppression. The country is you don't have food, water, healthcare.
The U.S. has taken them in. That has been the history of this country. So the U.S. has deported over 200 Venezuelan nationals. And because they're not sending them back to Venezuela, they sent them to El Salvador using the Aliens Enemy Act of 1798, which has very seldom been used. So, and in doing this, there's been news footage of the El Salvadoran government shaving these men's heads, shaving their beards in an effort. It's humiliation. It's to humiliate them.
And some is their religion and faith.
Who?
Some of them know. Oh, and they're shaving their heads being bald. No,
not that I'm aware of.
Okay, no, I'm asking.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. But it's humiliate. They're doing it to humiliate the inmates. And even though the U.S. is not the one that's doing it, we're sending them. This government is sending them to El Salvador, and this is happening, and we're seeing it on the news. and I was watching a particular news station, not of my own volition, because I was at the gym and it was on.
By default.
By default. And it's been on for several mornings because the same footage has been showing on this particular news station, which is a cable news station. It's been on and showing in loop, and it's almost, and when the announcers are talking about it, they seem to be very proud of it. Yes. And you can kind of guess which news station this is.
Our listeners are smart. They'll know.
Yeah. And so it's very troubling to me to see that the U.S. is condoning this.
Is it the U.S.? I don't think that's a fair statement.
This administration is condoning this. And so that's troubling. And so, but he's the president. So he's the face. Like, he's the face of
and this. To my understanding, the one gentleman, the CECOT, CECOT, is a prison in El Salvador. Didn't we just say El Salvador? Yes. That according to Democracy Now!, if y'all follow up with them, I'm looking at a video that they posted on their YouTube, that a Venezuelan LGBTQ asylum seeker was sent to El Salvador, and the CECOT, CECOT, is known as a prison that you never leave.
Oh my.
And again, if you go to Democracy Now!, and that's where it actually says there's another organization, the Human Rights Watch. That's an organization, and they say that people who are sent to CECOT, CECOT, would never be allowed out. So this organization, the Human Rights Watch and Democracy Now! Is the one that's reporting it, but the Human Rights Watch now, they are trying to help these individuals that are being sent to this place because you never leave, and it's so it's basically you're tortured and all this stuff in this. So this is what, if we know this,
and we're sending, and this country's sending people there.
Okay, then
that part,
that why would another individual? Well, I don't. So, I'm good.
You know, I can't say anything because
we knew the assignment. Yeah, that's why I get, and not just stop talking.
We knew the assignment.
I can't.
And so, you know, America failed America. You know, but the 92% of us, we tried to get it. We
did our part.
We did our part,
and we still doing our part.
But you know, I can't say enough. In 26, folks, y'all got to show up. Y'all got to get out there and be at the polls, and you got to be in them streets knocking doors, telling people to get their ass out and vote.
Yeah.
Or if you're afraid of like what's happening now, if you're afraid of the things that are coming out of Washington, we've got to stop the hemorrhaging. And you stop the hemorrhaging by putting people in Congress who will stand up to this man. Yeah. Because he wants to be a dictator. And he told you people when he was running that he was going to be a dictator on day one. Yeah. He told you that. And he also said, if you vote this time, you'll never have to vote again. Which I thought that meant. Anyway.
That's
girl,
I know. Blood pressure.
Yeah.
So 10 toes down. Make sure y'all check out y'all local election, Secretary of State. Find a place to plug into. Get involved. And I think I do want to add, when we say get involved, I think I've had comments. What exactly does that mean? What does that look like? And it's whatever that means to you. Well, however, it will make you feel as though that you're uplifting your nucleus, your family, and your community. And for me, volunteering, finding something that you're passionate about, that you know will help everybody, not just yourself, but the community. And I think that's what makes a lot of us different than other folks. We look outward, it's purpose. When we find, and like the AOCs and the, what's the girl name? I just forgot it again.
Jasmine
Crockett. They're working for the people and not, they're working for purpose and people and not power and profit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so your response to that person who texted you should have been, go watch our last episode. We gave very specific, detailed information about what you can do locally. Go back and check out our last episode because it's good.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Yeah, it is.
Like, we gave very detailed information about things that you can do on a local level.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And if you could only pick one thing, get involved with some organization that's doing voter registration and that's doing voter education.
Yes.
Go to your NAACP.
Yes.
If you are a member of a church that has a social action committee or a mosque that has a social action committee, go and do those things. If you are a member of a Divine Nine, they have social action committees. If you are involved, if you're not involved, get involved.
Yes.
So we get very specific, concrete information and pinpoints about things that you can do. And so now your challenge is, what are you going to do?
Facts. Look, I got to watch your podcast. What is it called?
Conversation with Karen and Kat. And if you don't find it on YouTube, you can go to KarenandKat.com.
Yes.
All the episodes are there.
Yes.
You can listen to it or you can watch the video.
Absolutely.
But we have given very specific information.
Yes.
So the next time somebody asks you that,
check out the podcast.
Go to the podcast. Go to KarenandKat.com. Go to YouTube and check out Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Yes. These are on here because what?
These were on here because...
Are we supposed to talk about these?
No.
Oh, okay.
They were for you.
Oh, yay. So I don't know if y'all know, like our first episode, we didn't have t-shirts.
No, we didn't.
So we have t-shirts, we got swag, we have the step and repeat. We're starting to like move on up in the world, you know, and when you're a guest, we are able to bless our guests with t-shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, get a little merch. So that's pretty cool. So we drop every week, everybody. We drop once a week, and we're doing it because a lot of you have said you enjoyed the content that we're creating. We want to continue to do that. So please subscribe, because the more you subscribe, the more our content will reach other people. And we'll be able to stay on here a lot longer and make sure we do what we're doing. I love doing it. I love the person that I'm doing it with.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got some great things coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
And I want to say Happy Women's Day Month.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. It's Women's History Month.
Women's History Month. So I want to say the woman that made, because I want to ask you that question and give you a second. Who's the woman that made the most impact in your life?
My mom.
I know, right? And I want to say my sister.
Aww.
My sister, Nzinga, hey. And, you know, I lost my parents. And she was, you know, the second oldest at the time. And so it was, you know, by her pulling up her life. Yes. And, you know, so I love my sister. She's done a lot in this world. And she's a true example of being an overcomer.
Aww.
You know, with all the different adversities and things, and being a young teen without your mom and your parents, you know. So she did a really good job. And so my sister was very instrumental. She used to call me Italian Stallion because my long legs and I would run and everything. So yeah, my sister was really great.
Yeah.
And your mom?
For me, it was my mom. It is my mom. She's passed on, but my mom was the most influential woman in my life. My mother loved us unconditionally, and I still feel that love from beyond. And I know that she's with me
every day.
And I miss her every day. I used to talk to my mom every day. And I still miss her.
Yes.
And I was 50 when she passed. And I still miss her.
Yes.
You know, I think with the same sort of emotion as if I had been a little girl.
Of course,
but you know, my mother was such a strong example for me as a mom and a wife, you know, and so I took lessons from her in seeing her devotion to my dad and how she took care of my dad. Yes. They passed 3 months apart from each other.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So she's always the example of womanhood for me. Yes. And she was very, you know, she was just very dignified. Now she wasn't a prissy woman, but baby, when Miss Ruth got dressed up, when she yes. And so I got my sense of style from her. Okay. And just my love of making things nice. You know, I got that from her. Yes. You know, she didn't have a lot of money, but she liked to always have her home be presentable. Because her thing used to be with us, always make sure that the living room is kept clean. Make sure that make sure that you and things are in order, because you never know who's gonna stop by. She would always say that, because sure enough, at her house somebody was always stopping by. Always, yeah, all that love, and everybody just gravitate to it. At my mother's funeral, so many people, and the week that after she passed, when we were at the house, you know, getting things ready, you know, for the funeral, getting the house together, whatever. So many people stopped by and said, I'm gonna miss her phone calls. I'm gonna miss her phone calls. My mother had a phone tree of folks that she called daily and checking on them. Folks who, you know, that's a blessing. Yeah, folks in the community, folks in the church. She was calling them every day, and so many people told me, I'm gonna miss talking to Miss Scott. I'm gonna miss talking to Miss. And we didn't know. We thought that she was only calling us every day. And she did it all the time. She did it. She was calling everybody every day. I love that. I love that. So you guys, it is Women's Month and Women's History Month. So, girl, I did last bit of that tea. She's still trying to get the tea, and that tea gone. If you drop in the chat, let us know who's the woman in your life that inspires you, because we want to give people their roses. Yes, you know, well, they can still smell them. That's absolutely right. That's right. So, absolutely. With that, we love you guys. We really appreciate it. We have how many followers now? 5,000 on some sets. I think we made 5,000 on social media on IG. Okay. So we want to I haven't even checked. I haven't even checked. Yeah. I haven't even checked. Yeah. But so big thanks to everybody for following. Make sure y'all subscribe and stay tuned. Subscribe to Conversations with Karen and Kat on YouTube, Facebook, IG, or wherever you get your podcasts. That's right. KarenandKat.com. That's right. As always, thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat, where we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.